চোৱাচোন ৰক্তিম বস্তু আহিছে না মানে গৈ চাওঁ ভিডিঅ'টো আহিছে নাই ভিডিঅ' ঠিক আহি আছে ন
কেমেৰাটো ফুকন আছে নাই আগৰবাৰ যে কেমেৰাটো হেৰি গৈছিলে
আছে ফুকন আছে
লৰাই দিলে দিগদাৰ হ'ব এইটো চাই দিব লাগিব
ফুকন আছে
আগৰবাৰ লৰাই দিলে ন কেমেৰাটো চিফ নাহিলে সেইটো নকৰিলে নহয়
কুকুৰবিলাক আহিছে কুকুৰবিলাক আহিছে
এই মোৰ ভইচটো আহিব যে
কি
আমাৰ ভইচ ৰেকৰ্ড হৈ আছে
নাই হোৱা
মোৰ ভইচটো মই নিজে পাৰোঁ শুনি আছোঁ আহি আছে
Kind attention, please. All are requested to switch off their mobile phone. With due permission of your Lordship, a farewell address may be made to Honorable the Chief Justice on being elevated as the Honorable Judge of the Supreme Court of India. For order of reference, may I call upon Mr. S. N. Sharma, President, Gauhati High Court Bar Association. Honorable Chief Justice, Sri Sudhanshu Dhulia, Honorable Judges of the Gauhati High Court, Mr. Satyadhar Motok, President of the High Court Advocate Association, Mr. G. Sahewala, Chairman of the Bar Council, Mr. Devajit Shakia, Advocate General Assam, Diganto Das, Advocate General Mizoram, T.J. Mohanto, Standing Counsel, Gauhati High Court, Sri N.N.B. Chaudhary, Additional Advocate General, Arunachal Pradesh, Sri Ranjit Dev Chaudhary, and Ms. K. Misi. Today we have assembled here to bid farewell to the Honorable Chief Justice, Sri Sudhanshu Dhulia, who has served as the Chief Justice of this sacred institution for more than 1 year, on being elevated as the Honorable Judge of the Supreme Court of India. These proceedings are meant to appreciate Justice Dhulia's career, share words of goodwill, best wishes, and express gratitude to His Lordship on behalf of the members of the Bar who desires to say something on the humility, integrity, hardworking, fairness, and uprightness of His Lordship. My Lord Justice Sudhanshu Dhulia was born on August 10, 1960, at Lansdowne in Pauri Garhwal, Uttarakhand, who has set many milestones in the different field of human endeavor. His family hails from Pauri Garhwal district in Uttarakhand. He is the second son of K.C. Dhulia, who was the judge of the Allahabad High Court, and grandson of Bhairav Datta Dhulia, who was a freedom fighter and editor of Karmabhumi newspaper in Garhwal, Uttarakhand. One of his brothers, Sri Sudhanshu Dhulia, is a noted Indian film director. Justice Dhulia did his earlier schooling in Dehradun, Allahabad, and Lucknow, and graduated from Allahabad University in the year 1981. Justice Dhulia completed his master's in modern history in the year 1983 and LLB in the year 1986. Justice Dhulia initially practiced in the civil and constitutional side before this High Court of Judicial at Allahabad. Justice Dhulia later on shifted to practice in the newly created High Court of the state of Uttarakhand at Nainital. As a part of the bar, he was the legal counsel for Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, State Industrial Development Corporation of Uttarakhand Limited, Bhagirathi River Valley Authority, amongst others. Justice Dhulia became the first Chief Standing Counsel of Uttarakhand State and later was appointed as the State Additional Advocate General. He was also an honorary professor in the Uttarakhand Academy of Administration, Nainital. Justice Dhulia was designated as a senior advocate in June 2004. My Lord Justice Sudhanshu Dhulia was elevated as a permanent judge of Uttarakhand High Court on November 1, 2008. Thereafter, Justice Dhulia was appointed as the Chief Justice of the Gauhati High Court on 7 January 2021 and took oath on 10 January 2021. As the President of the Gauhati High Court Bar Association, I believe I speak for all the members when I say that Justice Dhulia is a great thinker, capable of understanding the finer points of law. Every lawyer who appeared before your Lordship always felt at home and never felt uneasy. In the course of his judicial career so far, Justice Dhulia has delivered several landmark judgments and decisions in many areas of our substantive and procedural law. In February this year, a bench headed by my Lord Justice Dhulia upheld the Assam government legislation covering the government-run madrasas to regular school, stating state-funded institutions cannot impart religious instructions. Today, as we bid him farewell from this Honorable High Court, please accept our best wishes and we pray our Almighty God to grant him longevity, good health and happiness and an active and fulfilling next chapter. I, on behalf of the Gauhati High Court Bar Association, wish all the best to the Honorable Chief Justice Sudhanshu Dhulia on his being elevated to the Honorable Supreme Court. In this minute, I conclude.
Mr. Satyadhar Matak, President, Gauhati High Court Advocates Association.
Honorable Chief Justice, Honorable Judges present, respected members of the registry, respected dignitaries present, learned members of the bar, ladies and gentlemen present. Today, we have assembled here on a very auspicious occasion to bid farewell to our beloved and respected Honorable Chief Justice, Mr. Justice Sudhanshu Dhulia, MA-LLB, who is leaving us on being elevated as Judge of the highest court of the land, the Supreme Court of India. At the moment, we have mixed feeling of sadness and joy. Sadness in the sense that from today, we will be missing opportunity to get face-to-face interaction with matters of legal discourse with His Lordship in his courtroom. Joy and happiness in the sense that upholding the glorious legacy of the Honorable Gauhati High Court, His Lordship will leave for Delhi to adorn the most venerable seat of justice in the highest court of the land. On this occasion, we extend our gratefulness to the Honorable Chief Justice for his Lordship's cautious and tactful steering clear of all inconveniences confronted with during his tenure for a year and a few months since the day of his joining of his Lordship. On the memorable occasion, I, on behalf of my colleagues of the Gauhati High Court Advocates Association and my colleagues in the bar, extend my heartfelt congratulations to His Lordship for his elevation to the Supreme Court and pray to the Almighty to bless him with all-round success in his new assignment. Wishing a very healthy and a happy life to your Lordship and your family members. Thank you all.
Mr. Gajanan Sahewala, Chairman of Bar Council of Assam, Nagaland, Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh, and Sikkim.
Honorable Mr. Justice Sudhanshu Dhulia, the Chief Justice of this Honorable Court, and Honorable Judges, members of the ST, and my friends at the bar. My Lord, today we have assembled here to give farewell reference to Honorable Justice Sudhanshu Dhulia, who is elevated to the apex court of the country as a judge of the court. Justice Dhulia originally belonged to the Uttarakhand, and he is a judge. He is a second son of Justice K.C. Dhulia, who was the judge of the Allahabad High Court. And he is the alumna of Sainik School, Lucknow, and Allahabad University. One of his brothers is the noted Indian film director, namely Sudhanshu Dhulia. Justice Dhulia started his practice in Allahabad High Court in 1986. As a part of the bar, he was the legal counsel of Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, State Industrial Development Corporation, Uttarakhand Limited, Bhagirathi River Valley Authority, amongst others. Justice Dhulia became the first Chief Standing Counsel of the Uttarakhand State and later appointed to the State Additional Advocate General. He was designated Senior Advocate by the Uttarakhand High Court in 2004. He was also an honorary professor in Uttarakhand Academy of Administration, Nainital. Justice Dhulia was elevated from the bar to the bench and appointed as judge of the High Court of Uttarakhand on 1st November 2008. He has been appointed as judge in charge of education, Uttarakhand Judicial and Legal Academy. He was elevated as Chief Justice of this Gauhati High Court on 7 January 21 and took oath on 10 January 21. In another golden day in the history of this premier Gauhati High Court, the country, when along with personal lifetime achievement of the Chief Justice, this court has also achieved another milestone and added another feather in its cap. The prestigious High Court has yet again proved to be a springboard for another Chief Justice to take a high jump and reach the highest court of the nation. It is little over 16 months when Justice Dhulia came to this court as Chief Justice, but it seems if it was yesterday when many of us present here attended the swearing-in ceremony. It was all because of the court blessed with a Chief Justice who has a disarming smile, pleasant disposition, who is amiable and adorable, who is really the friend, guide, and philosopher, a person whose intelligence is characterized by great knowledge and wisdom, great intellect, and contemplation. His Lordship, during his tenure as Chief Justice of our High Court, has delivered many such judgments wherein Justice Dhulia has given extensive impact on the natural justice, and our elevation of Justice Dhulia, our High Court will lose a gem of a person. My Lord Justice Dhulia is a man of work and a man with a ever-smiling face, soft-spoken, warm-hearted, and Lordship endured everyone with whom you came in contact. The Lordship always encourage the junior counsels to argue and help them and to allow them to prepare an argument. Though it is a farewell function, but your lordship is not going to a place, far a place. Virtually, it is 2.5 hours from our place on air, and you are not going away at all from our heart. I, on behalf of the Bar Council of Assam, Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, and Sikkim, best all good wishes to your lordships. And in fact, this function we celebrate your success and to wish your lordship best.
Mr. Debajit Saikia, Advocate General, Assam.
My Lord Chief Justice, honorable judges, my esteemed colleagues, both senior and juniors, members of the registry, and the family members of the honorable Chief Justice sitting here. This is a solemn occasion in which we are going to bid goodbye to Lordship after completing his tenure of 16 months in Gauhati High Court as Chief Justice. And he is going to the Honorable Supreme Court of India as a judge of the Honorable Supreme Court very soon. We definitely have to celebrate Lordship's elevation. But at the same time, there is some sad feelings also, because during this tenure of 16 months, we have learned a lot from Lordship's discourse in the courtroom as well as outside the courtroom. No doubt, Lordship comes from a very illustrious family. Everybody has spoken about Lordship's family tree. Lordship's family have the freedom fighter, judges of Allahabad High Court, editor of a very reputed newspaper, a noted and renowned film director in the family. But the family will have another very colorful branch in his family tree now. That is the chief, one of the judges of the Honorable Supreme Court. So this is a great occasion for the family of Lordship. We are really very proud of Lordship's family's achievement. When Lordship came and joined this High Court in the month of January 2021, we are in the midst of pandemic, and Lordship had faced very tough time while dealing with the administrative side of the functioning of the judiciary, not only of the High Court, but also of the subordinate courts. We are at the starting point of COVID-2. All the courts were not functioning or functioning in a very limited way. Litigants were suffering. There were difficulties faced by the judicial officers and the judges of this honorable court. Difficult for the litigants to come to the courts. In that situation, how Lordship managed it, I am an eyewitness for that. Lordship took some cue from some frivolous PILs in those cases during that time. Somebody filed some frivolous PILs relating to COVID, and Lordship took advantage of that position. I am using the word advantage because through these PILs, Lordship monitored the overall COVID management system in the state of Assam. We have taken a lot of advices from Lordship during those PIL adjudications, and as a result, with Lordship's active leadership, the court started functioning in the subordinate judiciary. The litigants were happy, so are the advocates. Lordship took special pain in allowing the advocates to come to the court. And for that, Lordship took those PILs to indicate that we have to run a COVID vaccination program. Not only that, we have to have proper monitoring about the entrance in the court premises. So through those PILs, Lordship monitored that, and as a result, it was a success story that we did not suffer much during the COVID-2 situation in Assam. So that was the greatness of Lordship's administration. So far as the other part is concerned regarding dispensation of various judicial pronouncements, I'm sure my former speaker has just mentioned about the interpretation of Article 28 of the Constitution of India. The government of Assam took a very courageous steps, which was there from 1995, that at the government expenses, some provincial schools were preaching or teaching religious education. That we have stopped, and that was a case before this honorable court, and this honorable court laid down and interpreted Article 28 of the Constitution of India, which allowed the government not to go for any religious education in provincialized schools. And I'm happy that till date, that pronouncement has not been tested in the Honorable Supreme Court, although there is a lapse of about 3 months since the date of delivery of the judgment. Lordship as a judge is a judge for the masses, and Lordship has lot of compassion for the petitioners and the litigants. I'm not saying that only the petitioners means sometimes the government also becomes petitioner. In the appellant cases, we come also. So Lordship hears everybody, and without any partiality, Lordship gives such a solution. Nobody is unhappy. And that is why the lawyers, especially of the court, will be very much sad in Lordship's going away from this Honorable High Court. There was no face value for any of the lawyers. Everybody was comfortable before this Honorable Court. Nobody had any ill feelings about any pronouncements. It may be in favor or it may against them, but everybody happy because Lordship considers all the submissions, and in the judgment, we find the answer to every point raised before the Honorable Court. I am also seeing that Lordship's compassion for the people. The other day, I was going through some judgments of the Uttarakhand High Court, and there, sitting in a full bench, Lordship delivered a judgment where Lordship held that even the contractual employees are also entitled for childcare leave. That is unique. Under the various service jurisprudence and the terms of contracts, there is no such scope for giving childcare leave to the contractual employees because it is for a very fixed, limited period. But that judgment was also there, authored by my Lord Justice, Chief Justice, present before us today. Identically, Lordship has also found out some ways to give reservations to those persons who are not covered under Article 16 also. Of course, those judgments are not of this Honorable Court, but because all these case judgments and pronouncement and his sensitivity has finally gave him the Lifetime Achievement Award to Lordship. That is his elevation to the Honorable Supreme Court. Lordship is also concerned about the various facilities we as lawyers get in this Honorable Court. And during the course of last few interactions with the Honorable Chief Justice, he was regularly telling us that we should have proper canteens and sitting places for the advocates, senior advocates, as well as the other advocates. And the other day, in fact, 2 days ago, with my Lord Justice Koteshwar Singh, we thought about having a proper restaurant cum sitting area for the senior advocates on the top of this building, on the rooftop. That was the last gift from the Lordship to the advocates of this Honorable Court. And we are very highly grateful to Lordship's initiative in this regard. Of course, today is a farewell day for us, but one Hindi song comes to my mind, that is Kabhi Alvida Na Kehna. So definitely, Lordship, we are not saying Alvida to Lordship. Lordship will always be in our heart and mind. Maybe Lordship will be going and doing the same work in Supreme Court with national limelight. We are very happy that Lordship has reached that stage. And from all of us, including the citizens of the state of Assam, all the persons of the state of Assam, we wish all the best to Lordship and Lordship's family for good health, success, prosperity, and happiness in the next innings. Thank you.
Mr. Diganta Das, Advocate General, Mizoram.
Respected the Honorable Chief Justice, Honorable Judges of the Gauhati High Court, members of the Registry, my colleagues, senior advocates and advocates of the bar, and ladies and gentlemen. Malan, I'm very careful in entering this court. First, your Lordship is always, mobile phones has to be switched off. When I entered, he said, please switch off your mobile. Normally, I switched off my mobile from the home itself. But when I come here, I make it very sure. I check doubly. Doubly I check. Because I know when your Lordship first said, jab kar lo uska mobile. That's what the word, jab kar lena mobile.
I'm so afraid. That's why twice when I enter, I make it very sure the mobile is switched off. Second, when I entered, one of my friends, Mr. Nair, said, "Then my lord is dealing one matter. He is a lawyer. Mr. Barbara is lawyer. Some non-provincialization matter." He told whoever hears the matter, either he become a chief justice of a high court or a judge of a Supreme Court. And that he told me when he just entered. He said, and really it happened, my lord. Their lordship is elevated as a judge of the apex court. So we were really very happy. He said, entered, sir, यही बात है sir, वो Supreme Court का judge बन जाता है. My lord, my friends has said a lot about your lordship's background also. He's a second generation, I have been told. Your lordship's father was also a judge. Now, my lord joined also Allahabad High Court, I think in 1986. And as your lordship practiced in both civil and constitutional matter. Thereafter, your lordship was the additional advocate general of Uttarakhand. And your lordship was designated as senior advocate in 2004. And I have been told that your lordship was also honorary professor in the Uttarakhand Academy of Administration, Nainital. And your lordship was elevated in Uttarakhand in November 2008. And your lordship later became the Chief Justice of our High Court on 10th of January 2021. My lord will be the second judge of the state of Uttarakhand to become judge of the Honorable Apex Court after Justice P.C. Pant. I have been told Mr. Pant was the first, he came from Uttarakhand, and your lordship will be the second judge to become the judge of the Apex Court. My lord, I have appeared before your lordship in several cases, in Mizoram matters, private matters also. I have a lot of experience. And your lordship is always, I have seen, that lordship maintains a decorum in the court. The atmosphere in the courtroom was always positive and cheerful, welcoming and open, regardless of which side succeeds in the matter. Your lordship legal acumen and temperament has been exemplary. Apart from your lordship's sense of humor and the ability to bring a big smile or a laugh between heated arguments will be greatly missed by our High Court. I have seen number of matters, heated argument. Your lordship will make a big smile or a laugh. We have experience, my lord. The manner which your lordship's proceedings are conducted before my lord is simply exemplary. My lord, I have appeared in several of the matters, complex matters such as provincialization of schools. Very unlucky the APSC matter. I remember on Friday I came up and the matter was fixed that day. But I couldn't appear. Now your lordship is elevated. I told that the matter can be taken up on Monday. But your lordship now is leaving. We are very happy itself. The Gorkha reservation, your lordship is aware of that matter. Gorkha reservation and crucial date, cut-off date, my lord, for the state of Mizoram. To name a few. In all these matter and others matter, what has been imaged me is the most that your lordship's skills and ability to immediately grasp under complex matter. Many times involves local acts, laws, and then ensure justice is done. My lord court, in my lord's court, justice was not only done, but it was also seen to be done. While Gauhati High Court will miss you, your next assignment as a judge of the Honorable Supreme Court will of great benefit to the entire nation. I, on behalf of myself and the government and people of state of Mizoram, wish the best of your lordship for future endeavors.
Mr. T.J. Mahanta, Standing Counsel, Gauhati High Court.
My Lord, Honorable Chief Justice, Honorable Judge of the Honorable Court, members of the registry, and my esteemed colleagues, senior and juniors, and ladies and gentlemen present here today. Today, we all have gathered here to bid farewell to one of the finest Chief Justice of this institution ever found so far. It is really difficult to let go for a person who has acquired a place in the heart of us by his work and behavior. It is little over 16 months when Justice Dhulia came to this court as a 34th Chief Justice of this Gauhati High Court on 10/1/2021. Though this association with my Lord Dhulia is comparatively shorter, only 1 year, 4 months, but during this short span of time, Lordship could able to make his place permanent amid us. From the very first day of this esteemed institution, Lordship has been presiding over the bench of very professionally, showing all the qualities of a good and perfect judge. A nice gentleman with cool and controlled temperament, my lord is a kind-hearted and good human being. This court is blessed with your legal equipment, in-depth knowledge, not only in the field of law, but also in subject, and especially with good sense of wit and humor. In spite of busy schedule, Lordship is a veracious leader, keenness of knowledge. Lordship has set an example for us. Lordship's zeal toward pursuit knowledge, as was guesses during the course of hearing of a APSC language matter, where Lordship has referred the evolution of Assamese language right from the era of Mahapur Simanta Shankardev to the Assam agitation. Lordship has unique style of conducting the court, patient hearing of all the advocates in respect of senior and junior in all the matter in a amiable qualities of your Lordship. Advocate, more particularly junior advocate, never seen hesitate to argue for your Lordship. In fact, during his short span of time, Lordship has become a mentor, guide, and friend for all of us. Lordship is really an outstanding judge with your ability, extraordinary intellectual desire to decide even most complex and difficult issues. Lordship has decided, settled various complex issues during your tenure. Various order judgment passed by your Lordship in various PIL Somoto matter, more particularly during COVID pandemic period, has benefited the marginalized section of the society, also became the guiding factor for the government in discharging his public duties. Lordship could able to earn deep respect and love from all the judicial officers, members of the registry, and employees working under the Gauhati High Court. They felt more encouraged to work more efficiently and professionally under the able Lordship, leadership of guidance of your Lordship. By elevation of Lordship, we will certainly miss a dynamic, liberal, and relief-oriented judge. We will miss unique way of control courtroom handling by your Lordship. We will also further miss the Hindi communication court number 1 mixed with sense of humor. Registry will miss the mentor, friend, and philosopher and guide. At the same time, it is a matter of pride for us that the apex body of the justice dispensing system going to be flourished and illuminated more with the introduction of the Lordship as a 259th judge of the Supreme Court of India and 20th number of judge of Supreme Court India who serve our Gauhati High Court as judge. By this word, I on my behalf and behalf of the Registry of the Gauhati High Court bid farewell to a Lordship. May Lordship and Mrs. Lordship will entire family be lead happy and prosperous life. There are no goodbye from us. When you are, you will always with us.
Mr. N.N.B. Chaudhuri, Additional Advocate General, Arunachal Pradesh.
Honorable Chief Justice, Honorable Judges, Member of the Registry, my esteemed senior colleague and member of the bar. Today we are assembled here to bid farewell to the Honorable Chief Justice, who elevated as a judge of the Honorable Supreme Court of India. Your Lordship was born on 10 August 1960, did his earlier schooling from Dehradun, Allahabad, Lucknow, and graduated from the Allahabad University in 1981. Thereafter completed your Lordship Masters in Modern History in 1983 and completed LLB in the year 1986. Initially practiced in civil and constitutional matter before the High Court of Judicature at Allahabad, later your Lordship shifted your practice to the newly created High Court of Uttarakhand. Your Lordship was designated as Senior Advocate in June 2004. Thereafter, your Lordship elevated as a permanent judge in Uttarakhand High Court on 1st November 2008. The Lordship Justice Dhulia take on oath on 10/1/2021 as Chief Justice of the Honorable Gauhati High Court. Your Lordship shows tremendous judicial capabilities to dispose of the matter as Chief Justice of the Honorable Court, particularly in civil and constitutional matter. Your Lordship, keep faith in all lawyers who are honestly practicing before your Lordship, Honorable Gauhati High Court, and teaches the junior lawyers if someone is unable to place his case before the Honorable Court. This shows great personality of your Lordship while discharging your duty as a Chief Justice of the Gauhati High Court. I, on my personal behalf, on behalf of the government of Arunachal Pradesh, give my heartfelt congratulations to 11 as Judge of Honorable Supreme Court of India. We expect from your Lordship in future by giving landmark judgment to help the legal fraternity.
Mr. Ranjit Kumar Dev Chaudhary, Assistant Solicitor General of India.
Honorable the Chief Justice, Gauhati High Court, Honorable Judges, members of the Registry, senior advocates, and my colleagues in the bar. Today, we assemble here to bid farewell to our most loving Chief Justice on being elevated to the Honorable Supreme Court. On one side, we are very happy that Lordship has been elevated to the Honorable Supreme Court. On the other side, I think personally I'm a little bit sad. We'll be missing the Honorable Chief Justice. Now, Lordship, the judicial history of India is more or less about 4,000 years old. It's much older than the judiciaries, the judicial systems in the other part of the world. And the honorable judges have been like the representatives of God on earth, discharging divine functions. Earlier it was the kings who used to discharge the judicial functions, but as the duties of the kings increased day by day, some distinguished persons were appointed as judges to discharge the judicial functions of those days. And the law evolved, it evolved and evolved. But one thing remained constant, that was the balance. The balance has to be maintained. The balance has to be equal on both sides. Not only that, it should not seem inclined from the other side. The most dangerous part in dispensation of justice is that notion of that the balance is inclined on the other side, which comes from the other side of the court. I'm very happy when I think back of what had transpired between the Honorable Chief Justice in different meetings that we have held, court functions. And one sentence that my Lord had uttered in one of the functions, I forgot which one, maybe the foundation date. That is the duty to take a decision. The judges are burdened with this duty to take a decision which others cannot take. And it is very difficult to take that decision. And when we enter the court, not only the advocates, the litigants, they should have a sense of comfort that yes, we are here and there will be proper dispensation of justice. Now, where do we get to know about it? Nobody will tell anything in the court, but the corridors speak. Every high court, the corridors speak. And I have not come across any single individual Sir, anything negative about the Honorable Chief Justice? Everything was always positive. The junior advocates, they would love to appear in this court. That is the aura that your Lordship has in this court. Everybody is comfortable. Everybody goes back very happy. On being elevated, I convey my congratulations to your Lordship here in the High Court. There is a sense that if any decision is passed, any order or judgment is passed, there is another court, maybe to rectify that, that is the Supreme Court. But now that your Lordship is going to the Supreme Court, the responsibility is more on your Lordship. And your Lordship would agree, everybody, any citizen, advocates, the judges, everybody commits an error sometime or the other. As Justice Bhandari said, no judge is born who has not committed an error. But then, taking a decision is much more responsible. There might be an error, but that can be corrected. Lordship knows the decisions rendered in Pyara Singh, what was right in Pyara Singh is not right today after Umadevi has come. Law being a dynamic subject, one should not be held back to give one's decision. I wish my Lord all the best, and I just hope that this would not be the end of your Lordship's relation with the Gauhati High Court. On behalf of the Union of India and on my personal behalf, I convey my best wishes to your Lordship.
Ms. M. Kechi, Government Advocate, Nagaland.
Honorable Chief Justice, Honorable Judges, esteemed senior member of the Bar, members of the Registry of the High Court, and my dear fellow colleagues of this Bar. Today we have gathered here to bid farewell to Honorable Chief Justice, Mr. Sudhanshu Dhulia, on his Lordship elevation as a Judge of the Supreme Court of India. It is a little over 16 months when your Lordship came to this court as the Chief Justice, but it seems as if it was yesterday, as because this court was blessed with a Chief Justice whose intelligence is characterized by great knowledge and wisdom. And before the advocates of this Honorable High Court would garner more from your Lordship's vast cauldron of knowledge, it is time to part leave, and for which this High Court would be left deprived of. Honorable Chief Justice completed his LLB in the year 1986 and practiced in civil and constitutional law initially at Allahabad and later shifted his practice to Nainital. And in June 2004 was designated as senior advocate. Your Lordship was elevated as a permanent judge of Uttarakhand High Court on November 1st, 2008, and thereafter on 10 January 2021 was sworn in as the Chief Justice of the Honorable Gauhati High Court. Even during this short period of 16 months or so as the Chief Justice of Gauhati High Court, your Lordship has made a huge impact both in the field of law as well as to the advocates with my Lord's dynamic and charismatic personality. With his Lordship's vast knowledge in different branches of law has passed landmark judgments which have contributed to the growth of the justice delivery system. Also, a large number of public interest litigations were entertained and reliefs were granted in a number of cases. Yet he did not allow his court to be misused. His Lordship's administrative qualities are superb and has brought about many significant changes in the administration of this court, be it case management for dealing with dependency and clearing of the area and backlog of cases. His vision with remarkable clarity of thoughts and ideas. As you take that step which will eventually make your Lordship reach the pinnacle, I on my personal behalf and on behalf of the state of Nagaland and the people of Nagaland, wish your Lordship all success and are confident that you will write a glorious chapter in the history of the apex court. During your tenure here and though this is a farewell function and your Lordship is leaving us, but your presence will always be felt in our hearts. So why farewell? This is a function to celebrate your success and to wish you all the very best.
Now may we have the honor of reference by Honorable Mr. Justice N. Koteshwar Singh.
Honorable Chief Justice, my esteemed colleagues in the bench, Mr. S.N. Sharma, President Gauhati High Court Bar Association, Mr. Satyadhar Matak, President Gauhati High Court Advocates Association, Mr. Gajananda Sahewala, Chairman of the Bar Council of Assam, Nagaland, Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim, Mr. Debojit Saikia, Advocate General, Assam, Mr. Diganto Das, Advocate General, Mizoram, Mr. T.J. Mohanto, Standing Counsel, Gauhati High Court, Mr. Ranjit Kumar Dev Chaudhary, Assistant CGI, AGI, Ms. M. Kechi, Government Advocate Nagaland, and all the distinguished members of the bar, including the senior advocates, esteemed members of the registry, respected judicial officers present here today, members of the staff of the registry, and Madam Vaishali Dhulia. Farewell is always normally, most of the time, associated with sadness, as mentioned, spoken by the speakers earlier. It is a farewell of celebration also. Farewell, we say goodbye with smiles. I am fortunate to address this kind of farewell on two occasions when Honorable Justice Arup Goswami was elevated as Chief Justice of Sikkim. And today, I am addressing this August gathering on behalf of my colleagues on a happier occasion of elevation of His Lordship Chief Justice Sudhanshu Dhulia as a Judge of the Supreme Court. It's about a little bit more than a year that His Lordship has joined this High Court as a Chief Justice with a vast and illustrious stint as a Judge of the Uttarakhand since 2008, Uttarakhand High Court since 2008. Honorable Justice Dhulia was born on 10/10 to 1960. His Lordship did his early schooling from Dehradun, Allahabad and Lucknow, and graduated from Allahabad University in the year 1981. His Lordship completed his Masters in Modern History in the year 1983 and LLB in the year 1986. His Lordship practiced extensively in civil and constitutional matters before the High Court of Judicature at Allahabad, before His Lordship shifted to Uttarakhand after establishment of the High Court of Uttarakhand. His Lordship was designated as a senior advocate in June 2004 and elevated as a permanent judge of the Uttarakhand High Court on 1st of November 2008. As we all know, we have heard also His Lordship is also the illustrious son of another judge who was serving in the Allahabad High Court before. As judges, our primary duty is to dispense justice. But in doing so, the methodologies, the approach differ from judge to judge. And what every judge considers appropriate according to his perspective, keeping the overall legal profession in mind. Therefore, there is an element of these are the internal element of a person, of a judge, which is generally not known to the outsiders. The outsiders, the lawyers, the litigants, and the public come to know of the character of a person, of a judge, from the judgment one renders. And I can say without any hesitation that His Lordship, through his judgment, has shown what kind of person he is, of which has been elaborately spoken by my previous speakers. But there is no dispute that everybody on one page to say that His Lordship is very unassuming judge, but yet firm judge also, and very, very compassionate. Would try to ensure his best to give the maximum benefit with the least harm to the contesting litigants. Much has been spoken about his Lordship's judgments, of which the lawyers are more familiar with, as I did not have the occasion to sit with his Lordship for a longer period, though I had the privilege to sit with his Lordship on the first few days of his Lordship elevation as Chief Justice. But I am still tempted to mention a few judgments, one of which has been already mentioned by Devjit Saikia, Advocate General, that judgment relating to grant of child care leave to a mother who is on contractual employment. Question therefore arose, it was referred to the larger bench, and His Lordship Sudhanshu Dhulia had spoken on behalf of the bench the need to have a more compassionate approach to women's requirement. As we know, women have been endowed with this responsibility not only of bearing but also rearing the children. What more can be done? This is a kind of approach which His Lordships have taken in that judgment, saying that even the person on contractual employment will be entitled to child care leave, though may not be in the same period as a regular employee would do. And Lordship has explained it. Yes, he's entitled. To what extent? By invoking the principle of the earned leave. It's a kind of very creative judgment, a pro-women judgment. It reflects the character of a judge also. Another important judgment which we came across while sitting, His Lordship sitting in the Uttarakhand High Court, was about the requirement to share the profits of this company. When this Dibya pharmacy was established in Uttarakhand, so the issue arose. Then His Lordship also upheld the decision, saying that the pharmacy has to share its profits to local and indigenous communities as part of the fair and the equitable benefits under the Biodiversity Act 2002. I also came across another landmark judgment also, when a sitting judge of the High Court was charged with certain contempt petition, by filing a contempt petition. And His Lordship has gone through the work, the responsibilities, the onerous responsibilities of a judge to dispense justice without fear or favor, ill will, or without any passion. The Lordship observed that it is not a part of a duty of a judge to please litigants or keep lawyers in good humor. In that connection, the Lordship also quoted a very famous statement of Eugene Elrich, a famous sociologist, saying that there is no guarantee of justice except the personality of the judge. And also in that judgment also, Lordship has given a very timely reminder to the judges also, that we are always constantly being judged. The common man sitting in the courtroom is watching us, or the way we deliver, the way we conduct ourselves in the court, the way we deal with the situations, because as we understand, there can be a number of different kind of cases, sometimes where the emotions are very highly surcharged, which happens quite often in the courtroom. And how we do justice in the midst of this environment. Therefore, this is a very timely reminder also by Honorable Justice Dhulia through his judgments. And I need not repeat again we have already observed His Lordship a very patient listener of the various arguments put by the lawyers. Yes, I had to personally had the benefit of knowing His Lordship much earlier before His Lordship came to Gauhati High Court as a Chief Justice through various meetings involving different committees of the High Court. And one can say without any doubt that apart from a judge of par excellence, His Lordship is a very widely read person who has not only confined himself to the law books, but various books which touch upon sociology, history, literature, cinema. In fact, Lordship was a very keen enthusiastic, very enthusiastic admirer of some of the greatest filmmakers in this country. And His Lordship has seen most of these epoch-making films which have been made. Therefore, the interest, what we have noticed is that His Lordship is a very multifaceted personality with knowledge in diverse fields of knowledge. His Lordship has taken over the Chief Justice of this High Court in January, unfortunately because of the outbreak of COVID. There are many restrictions were put in place because of which we could not function in a regular fashion. We had to adopt to both virtual as hybrid mode. What I wanted to say is that in spite of these difficulties, and of course the members of the bar have been very cooperative, Lordship has ensured that there is no disturbance in the functioning of the court, whether be it by virtual mode or hybrid mode, as the case may be. He himself, Lordship, has been also attending courts through virtual and by leading, by setting example as chief. Therefore, in the process, we also have developed a very good bonding with His Lordship. As I mentioned also earlier, Lordship is very unassuming, but he is very firm. And he has been, after taking over as Chief Justice, many critical issues were there which have been resolved very, very satisfactorily, including appointment of the Vice Chancellor of the Law University. There were some issues and Lordship has resolved the issues without creating any disturbance in the atmosphere of the law university. Apart from this, Lordship has been also involved with various other developments which has taken place in this High Court. Recently, Lordship has been there to inaugurate the court complex in Golaghat, perhaps one of the biggest court complexes, and other court complexes are also coming up. Bijali also is ready for inauguration also. And we have made a lot of strides in other areas, in E-committee also. Various committees which have been constituted by Honorable Chief Justice, I can say without any doubt that we have been able to function without undue interference. The Lordship has given absolute liberty to all the committees to take the decision, which is also one of very rare attribute of a good leader who does not try to impose his views on every aspect. Certainly, of course, His Lordship has views. We always take that view in consideration and try to do our best under his guidance. And another important development which has taken place, which I can share, is our endeavor of the High Court to fill up all the vacancies in the High Court. Lordship has been taking a very leading role in that as Chief Justice, obviously, so that there is no vacancy in this High Court. And of course, there is a long pending demand of the lawyers for conferment of seniors advocate. I must say, Lordship has taken a lot of pain sitting hours together on various days, many days in fact, from 4 to sometime 8, 9, I remember. Lordship would be sitting personally interacting with each and every lawyer who had applied for citizenship. And he's given his very, very balanced view, opinion, without being influenced by any other factors. His Lordship's attention was to see the standing in a bar, his conduct, his personality, how he approaches the law as a lawyer. So these are things which we could learn in the committee meetings also from His Lordship. How to assess, how to make proper assessment, be it for the grant of senior citizen or for that matter, any other appointment. Therefore, I can say without any hesitation that this Gauhati High Court, under the able leadership of Justice Sudhanshu Dhulia, we have not lagged behind in any field which is required of any High Court. Everyone in the legal profession cannot be a judge. Every judge cannot be a Chief Justice. And every Chief Justice does not become a Supreme Court judge. We are so happy that His Lordship has not only has reasoned through all this ladder of success. Personally, of course, is a ladder of personally for His Lordship is a success, but in his success, you also get the benefit. And we are happy that His Lordship is joining the Supreme Court very soon. And the kind of experience he has had of not only Assam, state of Assam, but also other states, Nagaland, Mizoram, Arunachal, of which His Lordship also have been all the time in His Lordship's mind of the development of the judiciary in all these remaining states also, not only in Assam. Therefore, in that context, which is a matter today, though it is a farewell, it is an occasion to celebrate the rise of His Lordship from the very far off place in Uttarakhand, and Uttarakhand being by very nature, geographical nature of the state, Lordship could immediately understand many of the problems which this High Court, the state of Assam, Nagaland, Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh, which is primarily a hilly area, the difficulties faced by not only litigants, judges, lawyers. Lordship have been appreciative of all the actions being taken in these areas. And I'm sure as your Lordship goes to Supreme Court, he will continue to remember us and also guide as to how we proceed in our quest for dispensing justice to the people. I, on behalf of my colleagues, extend our warm and best wishes to His Lordship. May His Lordship remain healthy, because that is a very important part of a judge. We cannot afford to fall sick. We also like to extend our warm greetings and best wishes to Madam Vaishali Dhulia, who has been a constant companion of His Lordship throughout his life, and also his worthy sons, Dr. Shorin Dhulia, also Mr. Sharang Dhulia, and Shashank Dhulia, who is in the midst of very important examination, of which we have to all go through this process. So as I say this farewell on behalf of my colleagues, we pray that your Lordship will have a good and a remarkable stint in the Supreme Court also. As I mentioned earlier also, Lordship is by nature very unassuming, yet very, very humane judge who think of the difficulties of the litigants, primarily, of course, through the lawyers. And the fact that many of us here love and like the Honorable Chief Justice is indicated by the large number of presence in this courtroom, in spite of today being not a court working day. This itself is a testimony to His Lordship. With these few words, I would like to thank again everybody who have assembled here to say our goodbye to His Lordship. I am sure He will continue to remember us and guide us and encourage us so that we can deliver justice in the most appropriate manner according to the law. Thank you very much.
May we now have the honor of reply by Honorable the Chief Justice.
My esteemed colleagues on the bench, Mr. S.N. Sarma, President, Gauhati High Court Bar Association, Mr. Satyadhar Matak, President, Gauhati High Court Advocates Association, Mr. Gajanan Sahewala, Chairman of Bar Council of Assam, Nagaland, Mizoram, Arunachal Pradesh and Sikkim, Mr. Devajit Saikia, Advocate General Assam, Mr. Diganta Das, Advocate General Mizoram, Mr. T.J. Mahanta, Standing Counsel, Gauhati High Court, Mr. N.N.B. Chaudhary, Additional Advocate General, Arunachal Pradesh, Mr. Ranjit Kumar Dev Chaudhary, Assistant Solicitor General of India, Mrs. M. Kechi, Government Advocate, Nagaland, members of the legal fraternity, members of the registry, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Occasions like the one we have today right now traditionally require a formal speech. But frankly, I was not given the time to prepare one. I have jotted down a few lines in a hurry, the ones which came straight from the heart. Till I took oath as the Chief Justice of Gauhati High Court on January 10, 2021, I had not seen Assam or any of our Northeast India, the amazing, the beautiful and the vibrant Northeast India. And I had come here with nothing but love and respect for the people of all the 4 states whom I was to now serve as a Chief Justice. I tried to do my best, and in return, I have received tremendous love and affection of the bar and in general of the people of Assam, Nagaland, Mizoram, and Arunachal Pradesh. Today at this stage of my life, when I look back to the past, I distinctly remember my days as a young lawyer, when sometimes I used to aimlessly walk the long and the tiring corridors of Allahabad High Court, which some of you would know who have been to Allahabad High Court. And those were the times when at times I was briefless. Most of the time I was also penniless. Hope was all I had. And I remember the lawyers, the senior lawyers who encouraged me. And very soon, I too gained in confidence, like all young lawyers do when they start getting matters and when they frequently start appearing in court. And it is my firm belief that young lawyers should always be encouraged. I would ask all my senior lawyers and my companion judges to always encourage a young member of the bar, even if he's making a slow but a definite progress. It is a great bar. It's a great mixture of senior lawyers and junior lawyers. You have great talent, and this you will realize when you go to Delhi or some Bombay or some other high court, and then you will realize that there are better lawyers here. I see tremendous talent in the young lawyers. And I say this that the greatest learning for a young lawyer is to watch senior advocates while they are arguing. When the masters are at work, no law school, no law university will teach you that. You must carefully and diligently watch the manner in which the senior advocate put their argument before the court. The second and equally important is for every young lawyer to have a hunger for learning. You must read and read more. Fall in love with books. They will never fail you. My grandfather used to tell me that if you read a book from cover to cover, full book, seriously, then the book, like a person, gives you a blessing. Therefore, never stop learning and must inculcate a love for books. During my course as a lawyer and then as a judge, I have also come to realize that intelligence is a highly overrated virtue. It is important, it's very important. But in my view, more important than your brain is what controls your brain. And as Dostoevsky has said, it is your heart, your compassion, your progressive ideas, and your love for fairness in life. At this stage, we can say that we have not yet fully recovered from this pandemic. It is not over, but I hope that the worst is behind us. And I must congratulate the entire members of the fraternity, both the members of the bar and the bench, not only of the High Court, but of all the courts in the state of Assam, Nagaland, Mizoram, and Arunachal Pradesh, who have faced this unusual, unknown pandemic, the enemy, with great determination and courage. Again, to the young lawyers, I would say something with Justice Cardozo, one of the most eminent, great, celebrated judges of the US Supreme Court, has said about himself. He had said, "In truth, I am nothing but a plodding mediocrity." Please observe, a plodding mediocrity. For a mere mediocrity does not go very far, but a plodding one gets quite a distance. There is joy in that success, and a distinction can come from courage, fidelity, and industry. During my stay here for about 16 months, I have received tremendous support from my brother and sister judges, from members of the registry, definitely from the bar, of which I am greatly indebted. The bar was always polite but firm in their argument. You put your arguments very neatly. Yes, there are young lawyers who need to be encouraged. I see great talent in them, not only here, but in Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh as well. And though I've not been to Mizoram, but some of the lawyers, young lawyers, do appear from Mizoram, and I find great talent and a hope in them. My brother, Justice Koteshwar Singh, has been a great pillar of strength for me. He has been giving me great advice from time to time whenever I needed one. The same I can say for brother Justice Manas Ranjan Pathak, who's giving me very sound advice, telling me about each and everything, some nuances, something which I'm not aware of, which has also helped me in great deal, particularly on the administrative side. My brother Michael Jotan Khoma, who has tackled the difficult situation in Mizoram with great grit and determination. With his effort, a new judicial district has been carved out in Mizoram. New buildings have been constructed, and regular appointments of judicial officers are also being made, but primarily due to his effort. Brother Justice Suman Sham has again been of great support to me. He has been again giving me good advice from time to time whenever I sought one. Madam Justice Rumi Kumar Fukan has been dealing with criminal matters, and I've seen that she's been tackling some of the very ticklish criminal matters with great tact. And she has been holding the fort in this court as far as criminal law is concerned for a very long time. Mr. Justice S. Serto, who's presently in Nagaland, has done tremendous work for bringing the infrastructure of Nagaland. He has been constantly monitoring the new High Court building. With his efforts, new court buildings in Nagaland have been constructed in record time in Nagaland, that too in Nagaland with his great effort. I also had occasion to sit with Justice Bhujwan Barua. Justice Barua has again giving me good advice. I could see his approach while dealing with ticklish matters. And as long as we were together, I think I never had any difficulty in dealing with any problem which was there before us. My brother, Justice Kalyan Jyoti Surana, is a very hard-working judge. He does most of the work for us on the administrative side, right from vetting legal documents, from seeing the working of the subordinate courts. And whenever I told him, in spite of his difficulties for his nagging back pain, he has never said no when I have requested him to go to the outlying benches of Itanagar or other places. Justice Nelson Salo is again doing a good work in Nagaland. He's a very pleasant personality. And from him, I also learn about the great culture of Mizoram, the difficulties which the lawyers face in Mizoram, and so many other things. My brother Justice Ajit Thakur is again a very industrious and a very hardworking and a quiet judge. He does his work quietly, very unassuming judge, and a great pillar of strength for all of us. My brother Justice Hitesh Kumar Sharma is again holding the fort in the criminal side of the court. He's doing with great industry and hard work. Brother Sanjay Medhi, again, like Brother Sanjay Medhi and Justice Nani Tagia, Justice Manish Chaudhary, and Justice Soumitra Saikia are very young and tremendously hardworking judges. And you can see them from their judgments. Most of the time when their judgment come in appeal, I really marvel at them, because all of them, the judges I have mentioned, they deal with problem with such a good skill and in a very neat language. Nothing, no extra fat in the judgment they give, that it's really a pleasure to read those. I had a good occasion to sit with Justice Soumitra Saikia for a long time, and most of the judgment written in the bench have been with us. In fact, the last 3-4 days, he has authored more than a dozen judgments, and he had to do it very quickly. Justice Parthi Jyoti Saikia is again a great pillar of strength for us. He has great experience as a serving judge of the judiciary, and he is again a great asset for this High Court. I can say the same thing for Justice Robin Phukan, who is most of the time in Itanagar. Hopefully he'll be back and working here. Mr. Justice Kaketo Sema. When I went to Nagaland, he was the Additional Advocate General of the state, and I had more than one occasion where he appeared before me. He used to put out his points very neatly, and I could see that he has a very good command, both of the language and of the law of which he was arguing. He's a judge from Nagaland, and we are very happy that he is with us. Mr. Justice Devashish Barua, you can see Justice Barua's work. I think in a very short time, Justice Barua has authored many judgments. I mean, when I became a judge at that stage, I know I couldn't write so quickly and in such a prolific manner as Justice Barua has done. Justice Malashi Nandi is again, initially when Sister Nandi had come, she was shy. She was trying to get grasp of the matter. But now she has got full control of everything. And this you can see from many of the judgments which she has passed recently. They're all very good. I can say the same thing for Justice Marli Venko, who happens to be the first judge of a High Court from Mizoram, particularly from lady judge from Mizoram, and a first judge from the service from Mizoram. Mr. Justice Arun Dev Chaudhary is the youngest of the judges here. What I have just said of Justice Devashish Barua, I can say of Justice Arun Dev Chaudhary as well. It's been very prolific, very hardworking, and very devoted. We are really blessed. We are really, we feel great that we have such judges in this High Court who give more than their due to give their best for this High Court. Before I end, I must say, I mean, one of the judgments my brother Koteshwar Singh has referred to, which was a very difficult case in the Uttarakhand High Court. See, it's very difficult. It's very easy to decide a cases against anybody when you have to decide a cases against a brother judge, or when your brother judge is there, that too in a contempt matter. Then it is really very difficult. Whatever I did, I gave that judgment. It was a division bench judgment. But then I also realized that I think I remember, I don't know whether one of the great judges I admire is Justice Aharon Barak, who is a former Chief Justice of Supreme Court of Israel. I think there they call the Chief Justice as the President. Justice Aharon Barak has written, now he teaches law in a university in Israel. And he has authored some great book like A Judge in a Democracy. And many other books like The Purposive Interpretation of Law, so on and so forth. He has said, and he said that I have written this as one of my judgments. And he says that every day I go to the courtroom, when I hold a trial, I am on trial. Because when I am judging a case, there is a litigant who's sitting in the corner of the courtroom who's judging me. And this, I think, should always be kept at the back of his mind by each judge, because this would help a judge in the procedural justice. In the procedural aspect of justice, see, there are always two parties to a case. One wins, one loses. The one who loses will not feel so bad when he knows that although he has lost the case, but his arguments were heard, his arguments were noted down, and then it has happened. That's one of the most wonderful things Justice Aharon Barak has written. In the end, I would say there are many things I wanted to do here. We wanted to change many rules, which is very lengthy and very tiresome here in filing. Opening up a restroom, cafeteria, both for the lawyers and for the senior lawyers as separate, was one of the things in my mind. I hope we can do that. But there are many other things which have still remained incomplete. I'm sure other Chief Justice who will come now will do this. On my part, I can just remember a poem of a famous Hindi poet called Nagarjun. He said, जो नहीं हो सके पूर्ण काम मैं करता हूं उनको प्रणाम.
The farewell reference is now over.
ভালকে যাব নোৱাৰে